Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Not unexpectedly, Kim Jong-un, the god of North Korea, my woodchuck, supports the Palestinians in their struggle. And that doesn't sound very well for other people. Why? Because we are supposed to see things in black and white. And the guys in white, in this case, are the good ones, and in the black are the bad ones. Which the good ones are obviously Israel, and the bad ones are everyone else who's against Israel, or who criticizes Israel, or who says something that is not so. It seems like if you look at the media in the Western world, most of it, I'm talking about the corporate media, most of it tries to portray a certain kind of narrative and uses a lot of pathos, not logos, pathos, to muster our support and our empathy only for some civilians, not for all civilians. Well, what do you want? See, they are fighting the monster they created. Because remember when it was that Black Lives Matter, and someone would dare to say all lives matter was attacked by them? Now they have to say, well, these guys, and now they have, no, all lives matter. All civilians' lives matter. The same attack. No, it's not all civilians, but just some civilians, it seems like. Obviously, all civilians' lives matter. All lives matter. But the guys who supported this stupidity then, only a certain group's lives matter, not all lives matter. Now they are supporting the other side. All lives matter. In this case, including the Palestinian civilians' lives. They're fighting between, and you got the idiots who are, how do you call this? Fanatics. Fanatics, the ones who think that the end of this world is near because Israel is surrounded and therefore this is the prophecy. Now, those guys are dangerous, in my assessment. And you know how you figure that out? They will dearly attack you if you have a different opinion than that. They will not argue with you. They will not try to reason with you. They will say, see that book? The good book don't lie. And that is their argument. Therefore, dangerous. Now, let's go to this little article here. Coming from Next Shark. Kim Jong-un orders support for Palestine amid Israel-Hamas war. You know the war here is not between Israel and Hamas. Because if you take, when they say the conflict in the Middle East, let's start from there. They say about the conflict in the Middle East. It's not a conflict in the Middle East. It's just one conflict in the Middle East. How do we know that? Let's try hard to imagine. Let's say that Israel is not there. Let's say it's not there. For whatever reason, I don't know, God takes it on his ship and goes somewhere else. Or whatever, it doesn't exist. I don't think we're going to have a Middle East conflict, do you think? Or probably that conflict would be solved very quickly. But since we have that, now remove from there, let's say Iran, from the Middle East. Do you think the conflict between the Arabs or Palestinians or whomever will cease? No. Okay, remove Saudi Arabia. Remove Egypt, Jordan, Lebanon. Each and every country, Syria. Remove Iraq. All these countries in the area. If you remove one of them, the same thing is going to be there. One of these, but if you remove one particular one, I don't think we're gonna have the garbage that it's there right now. Do you understand? So these guys are trying to remove or to look at the issue somewhere else. Now, obviously, I'm not how should I say? I'm not promoting anything with the existence of this country or not existence of this country. I want all the people to live in peace. They have their own countries and they live in peace with one another. I would like that to happen. The problem is that God created us in his image. And we are very, very, very bad. here and there, more bad sometimes, more good sometimes, a balance. So as we are, we can't seem to like living with one another, and we want things from one another. And if we can take it by force, we're going to take it by force. And that creates consequences, unforgiven. They're not forgotten by their, offspring. And then they will try to pay back. They will take it back, and so on. So that's how we have in the Middle East something that it needs to be solved really, really in an extreme way. My solution is separation. Separation. That means we make sure that these guys over here with these guys over here don't have contact with. They don't have contact. As ugly as it sounds, it proved from 1948 that these guys cannot be living together without some rockets there, some missiles there, some F-16s dropping bombs over there, some assassinations here, some explosions, some poisoning, some all that. I haven't seen that in many other parts of the world. I don't see that. Between countries, like in Europe, like in Asia, and Africa, and South America, North America, it's only this thing, that all these things occurs all the time. Why? Read between the lines what I just said. So let's go to this little article here, and we see that Kim Jong-un is ready to, help support Palestine. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has reportedly offered his officials to mobilize. He's ordered. Let me just make it bigger. Right there. Order his officials to mobilize support for Palestine amid the ongoing Israel-Hamas war, South Korea's spy agency revealed last week. Now, if North Korea would order. So if Kim Jong-un, according to these guys, offered his officials to mobilize support for Palestine, obviously doesn't provide support to Hamas, right? So just to Palestine. Got it? All right, that's a big difference over there. National Intelligence Services Director Kim Yong-hyun informed South Korean lawmakers during the 2023 National Assembly audit on Wednesday that Kim instructed his officials to create ways to comprehensively support Palestine. Very important. Very important. All right. It says North Korea could also engage in arms trade with militant groups in the ongoing Israel-Hamas war. Militant groups. Hamas launched. Okay, we're not going to read that over there. Okay. While providing troops, weapons, food, or medical supplies to Palestine in the Israel-Hamas war would be helpful, Oh noted that North Korea does not have much for themselves to begin with, considering the heavy sanctions imposed on the secluded country. Remember this right here. While providing troops, weapons, food, or medical supplies to Palestinians in the Hamas would be helpful, North Korea does not have much for themselves to begin with. But you read the articles in the West that somehow North Korea gave 1 million, shells to Russia. So how is that possible? So when we want to make the enemy strong, we tell them that they have a war machine. When we want to show how strong we are, we tell the Russians are garbage airplanes, rockets, missiles, and everything else. When we need to portray things in a certain way, we tell them how formidable the Russian army and military is, right? Right. The same with North Korea. When we have to make a point that Europe has to cough money and weapons to Ukraine and ammunition, we tell them that, hey, they received 1 million rounds from North Korea. And I made a point, you gotta make up your mind. Which one is it? North Korea has an industry and can produce, it's a producer, or is it a garbage economy? Which one? You can't say, hey, that's very good. They have they have a technology and they build, nuclear weapons, missiles. They have submarines and so on, but they don't have food. Well, to a certain extent, it's not impossible. But you can say there are dumbasses and these guys have nuclear missiles. Or, they give Russia 1 million ammunition shells, 155 millimeter shells and all that. But They don't have much for themselves to begin with. Which one is it? They're lying. They're lying. It says that some earlier reports alleged that North Korea helped arm Hamas for its October 7 attack against Israel, an allegation Pyongyang has vehemently denied. With what? With rockets? North Korea? Well, let me give you this piece of news. Maybe you want to look into it. Maybe you want to look into who helped Israel unofficially acquire nuclear. And you're going to find out not only friends included in this, you're going to probably find, how do you call those guys? North Koreans. Well, just look into it, okay? Food for thought. Hamas fighters were purportedly seen in images carrying a launcher with a rocket propeller grenade with a similar design to that of North Korean F-7 rocket propeller grenades. Israeli forces also seized some of those weapons following the attack, which were later shown to the media according to the Associated Press. Now, if they found some AK-47, that means the Russians armed them? Maybe the Romanians, because they sell a lot of them. Maybe the Serbs. Maybe the Chinese. All these are producers. What are you talking about? What if they would find, I don't know, M16? Would be the Americans? It's a so-called black market. Okay, have you heard about that? And remember, you got a lot of things in Ukraine nowadays occurring. And who knows, maybe the North Koreans are supplying the Ukrainians with weapons. The Ukrainians are selling it on the black market because they are not corrupt. And then they sell them also to Hamas. Maybe it was the Ukrainians. Maybe Zelensky is a self-hating pop, and he helped Hamas against his brother and sister. No? I mean, if we are to be going full retard, let's go full retard then. I'm okay with that. I mean, I have to play here sometimes not full retard, but almost full retard in order for us to communicate. But if we are to pretend, then let's pretend, as DC said. Are we pretending? Remember with John Jones? Are we pretending? If you guys are familiar with the UFC, DC and John Jones, are we pretending? Anyway, so here is, my friends. Can North Korea do much about it? I don't know. Maybe just something symbolic, but symbolic is enough. Why? Because Russia stays kind of outside. North Korea stays kind of outside, meaning towards this, but not too much, leaning over there. Because, as I said, that's white and black, or good and bad in this case. There's no in between, and if you are not with the good, automatically you are with the bad, which is an idiotic, toddler-like mentality we are supposed to employ for a little bit. As I said, get full retard, because why? But the whole, how do you call it, castle of sand castles are just collapsing. Why? Because we have the internet, and they still allow us to communicate more or less freely. And we can see children blown up in Gaza. We've seen apartment buildings, neighborhood flattened. Those were not flattened by Hamas, were they? And if they were, all of them? All those children that we see over there killed, unfortunately, and hospital horror, were they all killed by Hamas? All of them were used as human shields by Hamas? And even if they were used as human shields, from my experience, if you have an hostage, held at a gunpoint by an evil guy, you don't shoot through the hostage in the guy here if this guy uses the hostage as a human shield. Do you? I mean, in civilized countries, we don't do that. So when Israel, which is a civilized country, says that, hey, Hamas uses civilians as human shield, but it's okay, we just blow them up. What? And everybody's, nothing to see here. Think about it. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.